The following is a presentation of Cover Your Assets and is offered by Rooker Financial Coaching and Consulting. You're trying to build your income, your business, your life. Challenges are all around you. It seems so overwhelming. People are depending on you. Who do you listen to? Where can you go to find honest, useful information?
Todd Rooker.
For decades, Todd Rooker has been teaching professional education to attorneys, CPAs, bankers, and financial advisors. Rooker Financial Consulting offers advice and coaching to consumers, business owners, and financial professionals on every topic imaginable. If you truly want to succeed, sit back and find out how to cover and build your assets. Here's nationally renowned speaker and expert getting you on the path to financial strength and wealth, Todd Rooker.
Hello, everybody. How are you doing? Last Saturday of the month, we have another wonderful show lined up, and this is Village Bank Radio with the bank president, Alicia Webb. Rarely do you get an opportunity to talk to someone who is in the banking business, running the banking business, and really get the inside track. If you're a business owner, there's no question that these shows are designed for you. Village Bank is a community bank for entrepreneurs. It was built by an entrepreneur, and that is Alicia's father. And so if you can relate to that, then you can really understand where they're coming from and why they are so interested in working with other entrepreneurs. And that might be you, and we hope it is. Today, we're going to be talking a little bit about family businesses. And so if you own a business, if you have an intent on passing that business on to your children or someone else in your family, or even have designs on it, we're going to be talking a little bit about what are the things that must go on and what must happen to be able to get this accomplished. You have to understand that it is no small thing to pass a business from one generation to the next. The statistics are not in your favor. And there are things that you want to focus on, things that Alicia is well aware of because they are a family-owned business and more than one generation, multi-generations. And so she not only sees this in customers and folks who are in the first and second, and even Alicia, you know, Danners are in their fourth generation as a cabinet shop. And so we work with a lot of people who have gone through these transitions. And again, I'm going to say, not a small thing. It's a tough situation. You got to make sure you do certain things. And if you do, well, then it can be fabulous. We're going to talk about those things today. It is a family-owned business, so I'm going to say again, Alicia has insight into this from not only her customers and clients, but also from her own perspective as well. We're going to try to call on some of that today. So the secret to running a successful family-owned business that can endure from one family to the next, and imagine it's kind of like passing wealth from one generation to the next. Another thing that's very, very tough, and this is not at all the same thing, and I would say that it's harder. So when you're trying to pass that on, what are the things that you want to pass on as traits that are enduring qualities that you want to remain as brand and value within that business? And can you impose that or translate that through the next generation? So we've rounded up some tips here we think will help your family business thrive well into the future. And again, hey, look, even if you don't even have a family business, or at least you don't have designs on it, but maybe you're thinking about it, having heard me say this. And I think these tips are just invaluable for anybody who's going to have to try to cover this in the future. So the first one, Alicia, that I see here is communicate. So from your own perspective, given that you and your dad, I think your dad is still on the board, is he not? And so in terms of communication, give me some things that you have confronted in your own business.
Communicate, right? I think the biggest piece anyone can do today is communicate, whether you're in a family business, whether you're in an ESOP, whether you're a startup business, because perception is reality. If we are sharing a message, if we are typing an email, if we are posting something online, people perceive it different ways. So how can you get in the room once a week and have a same page meeting where you're looking each other in the eyeballs, you're talking about a personal best, you're talking about a professional best, and you're throwing all the issues up on the whiteboard and diving through the top 2 or 3 on the whiteboard and making sure that if there's ever issues going on in that senior team, that executive team, that family team, that they're getting solved, and they're getting solved behind closed doors. hours. So it's not interrupting the flow of the business. It's not taking away from the grind, the local goals, the community aspirations. You want to keep all those issues and all that stuff up at the top and deal with them immediately, not taking things too personally, right? If we think about some of the biggest companies in the world, Todd, they're family businesses. You think about Ford, you think about Walmart. Those businesses started out just like your business and my business started, and they grew. And how did they grow? Because they constantly met, they constantly communicated.
So let me throw something in here. Folks, if you come to me and tell me that you want to do business with or borrow to or from a friend or a family member, I am generally immediately against it.
Mm-hmm.
And so the point about communication, you might think, hey, look, I know this person, they know me. This is going to be smooth. This is going to be easy. I'm going to tell you that my perspective is it's the opposite. Your biggest challenge when you're dealing with family or friends and family-owned businesses is that you believe that this person thinks this way, and obviously you can proceed with that in mind, and more often than not, you might be wrong. So actually communicating what you mean is so much more important with family than it would be if you weren't family.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So
that's the thing. I mean, you all still have to sit around the Thanksgiving dinner table or a Christmas tree, right? Like that's what's going on. And so have the conversation, figure it out, go process, come back and have the conversation again. I mean, it's business. We talk a lot about on this show, know your numbers, but communicate too. This sounds like it's we sound like, oh, it's not an income statement or balance sheet line. Oh, it's not about inflation or rates going up again. But if you're not communicating, the rest of it really doesn't matter. You have to communicate what your playbook or your strategy is going to be when the balance sheet is strong and you want to purchase an asset. When rates continue to go up and you're in a variable rate, you want to continue to communicate when we're in the great resignation. People are quitting, your expenses for hiring go up 15 to 20%, your benefits go up 20%, and your loan is variable. Can you still afford it? Where do you need to cut back? What do you need to sell more of? Right? It's like, when are we going to double down? Where are we going to? Where are we not going to? These are all the moments that you have to be communicating, because I always think up like I'm selling up to Don as well. So when we're going to talk about our SBA strategy, or we're going to talk about hiring up for a position or a department, I'm selling up. I need to communicate
you gotta define what you mean. I know what you mean,
yes.
But you gotta define what you mean selling up.
Well, it's no different than any other company that I've worked for, where I have a boss and my boss has to meet their goals. So my job is to make my boss look good. And how can I bring ideas and strategies to the table to help my boss get there faster and my boss look better? How can I think differently? And the more you communicate with your boss, the more you sell up to your boss, the more likely you are to know what are the risks you have to mitigate? What do they want to hear? What are no-goes for them? And so you have to work around it. And so I always think about Don in the fact that I get to be the cheerleader for the team, and I get to sell strategy up. And then he brings his business sense, his common sense to the table and says, well, will that work? And have you thought about this? And have you thought about that? And yeah, maybe we should use a little capital on that and see what happens. But if we weren't meeting weekly and we weren't communicating clearly, none of that would happen, because I wouldn't know how to sell up to him.
And so selling up is really garnering his buy-in and then showing how that's valuable overall to the business.
Yeah. And at the bank, I'm being a little bit naive when I talk about it here, but at the bank, it's our very first value. It's put relationships first. And so if I know what matters to Don and I'm putting our relationship first at all times, when there's a new idea or there's a new strategy, it's going to be welcomed. It's not going to get as much pushback because I've always put our relationship first and I've made that matter. It's the same thing with customers. It's the same thing with hiring, that if you're always putting that relationship first, Todd, and you're doing what's right, when you bring something new forward, they're going to listen with open ears.
It's an interesting thing for small business owners, and you may be a small, medium, or large business owner, or maybe just involved in a business like that. But the idea of separation between business and personal is something that a lot of people play lip service to, but doing it and saying it are two very different things. It's tough because the reality is when you are a valuable part of a business, you have to have the courage and strength to bring your opinions forward and know that you are maybe going to disagree with other people,
Mm-hmm.
but yet you have to be able to deal with that, not make it personal, and then come out with a unified front, having discussed it, beaten it up one side and the other. And hey, maybe you went in there, you had totally a disagreement in the direction that you were going to go or the things that needed to be done, but you intently listened to the other side. They listened to you. You came about a consensus, and then you moved out as a unified front. Not an easy thing to do, but it's what you got to do.
Todd, I will tell you right now, hands down, if you don't have a little tension in your senior team meetings or your ownership meetings or your executive management meetings, you're not doing your job. There is always supposed to be some tension. There's always supposed to be some healthy discussion
And passion in those
Yes.
in those disagreements.
I mean, like when I say, "Oh, it's not personal." Yeah, it is. But like, how can you? Right? I mean,
Yeah.
yes, it's always personal. I'm not
Yes.
bringing anything to the table that I haven't stayed up nights on, thinking and worrying, thinking of everything. But I also have to be open minded enough to know that I don't know everything either. And where can I get feedback to make that idea or that strategy twice as strong and twice as beneficial to our community and our villagers? So to never have tension, you're not being your best business then. We all got to leave the room shaking and hugging, but like I have a true passion for obviously my family business, but also our team and where they want to be successful and how they want to grow. And I take that very personally, and I know they do as well. And so, it's you might fight tooth and nail with your brother and sister, but you guys still leave hugging, right? And that's the same thing on a good team. You got to have a little tension, be respectful, but don't be afraid to meet weekly, bi-weekly, whatever that works for you, and communicate and over communicate. Because that way, when you get to those real pivotal moments, you're already there. You've already got that communication line moving, and you know how to get points across, where not to waste time, where to press.
So providing an environment, because remember, when it is a family-owned business, people are passionate about what they believe the direction needs to be. But I think a very important point is that you have to respect the position and the corporate structure, even though, hey, my younger brother or sister is running the company, but I'm the older brother or sister,
Mhm.
but they are running the company. They have the corporate position that I am subordinate to.
Mhm.
And I have to be willing, they have to be willing to listen to my opinions and and what I believe is important. But I also have to be willing to subordinate that overall decision making to people who do have a higher position within the corporate structure. That's another thing that's very challenging for people who are in family.
Yeah, and I mean, I would love to, yes, but I also think that as family business, we have the responsibility to make sure that we're solving those things behind closed doors, and we're not ever making an employee feel like that. They need to be just as heard as a family member is. And we have to be very careful with that, because what we never want to turn into is, wow, the village has done a great job bringing me here, but there's nowhere else for me to go because someone's kid's always going to be in that seat, right? That you're going to lose talent. You'll never have great talent. You'll grow them, you'll invest in them, but they'll go. And so I think it's important I tell my team all the time, there's going to be someone much better at this job than me. I'm hoping we're growing them up internally, because there better be someone better than me at this job. Like, that's my job to get someone there, right? That's my job to work myself out of a job. And I hope that that's how my entire team feels.
You're so good at this.
Really? Thank you. I feel like nervous even talking about it, because it is so personal. But guess what? Like, it's not mine.
Yeah.
right?
Well,
It's the communities.
maybe you know
I mean,
what?
Todd, think about this. We're free enterprise. Free enterprise is there's a pie. And it's not there's only 6 pieces of the pie. There's a pie, and we can make the pie bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
Right.
Because everyone can have something if they work hard. We support free enterprise. We, as a local community bank, we get to make local community decisions, and we support free enterprise. So as free enterprise gets bigger and bigger, my ideas and strategies and decisions work over here, but they better be outgrown. Just like free enterprise grows, the bank should grow. It's not mine. Where I get to see myself, or Don now gets to see himself, is the impact in the other local Danner's Cabinets. That's a perfect example. So proud to be financing a business like that. So proud to see what his kids are going to do. We're meeting with some parents this Friday.
I had my meeting with them today every Wednesday, so yeah.
But it's so important that we remember. And I think but again, I'm not a founder, right? I'm next generation. It's important though to remember that it's not the seat doesn't belong to any one person. It's a place. And what we should really be looking for is how are we impacting that next generation of bankers? Banking's not sexy. How do we keep bankers around? How do we encourage entrepreneurs to continue to be entrepreneurs and grow and pass it on to their employees, pass it on to their kids, whatever they decide? And then how do we make sure community banking stays relevant and free enterprise? Most importantly, free enterprise grows.
These are such highbrow views that I actually respect you're able to say this. I encounter businesses where the matriarch, if you will, of the business, everyone is afraid to say anything to try to to disagree with or throw a wrench into anything, and that's a problem. So when I think about your dad giving up the reins to you, I see that as being impressive. I see the fact that you still see him as the one who can look at the business and have things, knows things that you don't know. Both of those things are truly impressive. I'll tell you from a much smaller perspective, our own little business, I and my son, who's 35 years old, we have ferocious disagreements behind closed doors. And I mean that. Oh, do we disagree? And so we will have these disagreements, and then we'll try to agree to disagree and come out with a direction we're going to go. And then I'll chase him around the room trying to hug him.
Yes.
To say, is it okay? Are we still okay?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I see the reality of these things that, you are in a larger organization. You've got all eyes on you, and anybody else who's listening, who's in a situation where you've got multiple employees. It is a political issue somewhat, but behind closed doors in real life, there really are these passionate things that you're conversing about, and it's not an easy thing, but you find a way to do it without destroying the relationship. And that's that's kind of my point about running around the room to hug my son. He's running away from me. I'm not hugging you, but because I'm trying to make the distinction between this is personal and this is business. But for business and personal not to interact, this idea that they're autonomous to one another, it's just not real. It's not real. They do interrelate. And so, so the next issue or point that we want to make is set boundaries, set and uphold clear separation between family and business. In other words, keep the family issues out of the boardroom and keep the work out of the office. Here again, seriously, can you really do that?
I don't think I don't always know if it's possible. I'm a little bit more private, where I wouldn't want to discuss certain issues in a boardroom or, in front of it doesn't feel right.
Right.
I know I'm scampering here a little, but I feel very strongly that all of our villagers come to work every day, and they're trusting us. They're counting on us. They're going to get a check. They have benefits. They're going to make a mortgage payment, car payment. Kids are going to stay in a certain school district. They're going to go on a family trip, camping, Disney World, whatever it might be. Like that is our responsibility. And so I'm not saying there's never family drama. I'm not saying there's none of that. But I also am providing something, right? Like when I
Yes.
go home and I've got a bad day, I don't get to go kick the dog or yell at my kid. I have to go home and be the adult.
Well, it's very different. Craig Kleiber, who's one of your vice
Yeah.
presidents, I love the guy.
He's awesome.
And he says to me, yeah, Todd, I speak 401k. You guys know on this show, I say, do you speak 401k? He says, yeah, I do. And so a lot of folks, if you're listening, who are in the employee space, they've made the decision and they don't want that we're talking about. But when you own a business, it's like your blood, it's everything. And they make the decision that, when 5 o'clock rolls around, I go home, I'm done. When you're in business for yourself, that's not so easy. We're going to take a break or we'll be back talking about the family business, how to have business succession that is successful onto the next generation, how to handle it, how the culture, all the things that you really need to know if you're considering this or you're already in it and you just want to know that you're not alone. We'll be right back. Does your sump pump run constantly? Do you want to ensure that you never have a damp, musty smelling basement? These issues are caused by water. You can also find Arliss Cleveland LTD certified public accountants and consultants by going to accountingoffices.net or by simply calling 763-786-0639. That contact information again, accounting-offices.net or by simply calling 763-786-0639.
You're listening to Cover Your Assets with Todd Rooker.
Hey, welcome back. This is the last Saturday of every month, Village Bank Radio. We are joined by my wonderful co-host, Alicia Webb from Village Bank. We're talking about a topic that is got a lot of emotion attached to it. We're trying to we're trying to not bring too much of that in here, but it is something. If you have a small business that is a family business, you're a second or third generation business owner, or you've been the one who's built the business and you have designs on passing that on to your next generation. Look, it's no small thing. And there are challenges and there are things that you want to focus on in an attempt to be successful. Who wouldn't want to be successful? And we're describing these things. We just talked about setting boundaries and trying to make clear separation between the business and the family. And it's a challenging dynamic. But at the end of the day, remember something: with or without the business, you probably love this person. And so you have to understand that the business is a thing that is going to cause a rift, but you can't lose sight of the person that you love and care about. Setting boundaries is what you attempt to do. One of the things that I think is brought into this, and it is our next point of interest, is practice good governance. And I'm just going to say something about this, which is that as a legitimate business structure, do not forget, as an officer of the company, you have a fiduciary responsibility to uphold and protect that business above your own personal interests. This is another one of those things that is not easy for people to understand, because they look at the business as a part of themselves, not something separate that might survive even when they personally don't survive financially. But in fact, there are legal obligations that define that very thing. So practice good governance. What does that mean to you, Alicia?
Well, I think for a bank, it almost feels like it'd be easy because we have FDIC, we have state, we have policies, et cetera. But it's just as difficult. I think it's important that you establish a board of directors and make sure that that board of directors or that advisory board, that supervisory board consists of people that are picked by multiple family members, trusted advisors. I did not say best friends, softball friends, drinking buddies. I said trusted advisors, people that will look you in the eyeballs and have honest conversations with you, tell you things that you don't want to hear, tell you things you need to hear, and smack you on the back and say, great job, buddy. You're really getting somewhere here. I think it's so important that you have honest, trusted advisors, and they all have one goal in mind, whether it's to get the family to the next generation, whether it's to sell the business, whether it's to build an ESOP, whatever that might be. But make sure the goals are defined ahead of time, and that these are trusted advisors that everyone in the family can shake on and say, yeah, we trust these people for a 3-year term to help us get to this goal.
It's as you speak, I think, first, I'm just going to tell you, I don't care where you are politically in business, democracies don't work. And the reason that they don't work is because everybody's opinion is not equal.
That's
It
true.
is not equal. There are things that you know and you have insight and experience in that I do not. And the idea that my opinion, having none of that, is equal to yours in that particular area is an inaccuracy. Well, when you have people in a family business, they tend to want to believe that simply because they're there and they're one of 3 siblings, that they have a 1/3 valued opinion in this. And that is not necessarily true. And if you're in a family business and that's something that you think or you desire or you want, you need to understand that as an outside advisor, sit on the board of 7 different companies I do. I can tell you that is a mistake. That is a mistake. And one of the reasons the companies bring other people in and look to vice presidents who do not have the same perspective is that they need multiple perspectives to make the best decision.
Yes. And I think, I once heard about, so who has the position and who has the authority, right? And I think that you can have the status, you can have the position, you can own everything, but who has the authority? authority isn't top down all the time. Sometimes there's other folks that actually have the authority. And so it's really important on a board, I think, to look around and say, just because you hold all the gold coins doesn't mean you should act as though you do and not listen to others and not really hear and process opinions. You're right. Democracy doesn't always work. I think you have to be open and humble and listen to all these different opinions and listen to people's thoughts and hear them out on why they disagree, why they think they should go a different way. But then ultimately, you have to make the decision, share the fact that this is what they wanted, but look them in the eye and say, and this is the decision I'm making. Can you follow? Can you follow me?
If you are the person who where the buck stops with you, then you have to do just as you said. You have to be open to hearing everybody's opinion, knowing that at the end of the day, you are going to be making the decision.
Mm-hmm.
But being open to the people who bring you perspectives. Someone can own a business, but as you said, they've been removed for a period of time, even if it's just from this particular topic.
Mm-hmm,
they don't have all
mm-hmm.
the insight from all the different components that are brought to you. And so you need to have those, you need to openly listen to them, and then you need to be able to make the decision. So it goes both ways, but I think
it goes further too, because it's not that, well, gosh, I get to make the decision and hey, I heard you, but this is what I'm doing. There's also this teaching and this coaching moment in making that decision to say, yeah, I still don't see it. Show me on paper. Come back to me with the process. Share with me how you can develop that idea, because I don't see how we get there. I have many times you brought up Craig. Craig's a great leader at our company, and he'll come back to me with showing me something different than what I thought. And I've got to say, gosh, you're right. Let me look at that. Let me see that. And I think that there's so much power in learning, because I might ultimately make a different decision, but at the end of the day, Craig and I have built trust. And now he knows, he doesn't bring me anything and we can talk about it. And sometimes he's right. Sometimes I'm right, but we can at least trust and talk about it. And that builds team, and team can be family too. That builds family team. And that's what you need, because you don't want someone just have you seen Succession? You don't want that family. That's horrible, right? They just hang out because they're family and their dad's loaded like that. They hate each other. No, you want to have real family. You want those values that you have on the wall. Don't let them be stickers. Make sure that they're real and build trust in team and trust in family.
One of the most impressive things that someone can show me is in terms of their level of confidence is when they look across my desk and they say to me, I don't understand that.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain that to me or
Mm-hmm.
present that to me differently so I fully understand what you're saying? The level of confidence it takes to do that, because for a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people, if they don't understand something, they feel less than as a result of that. And so as a result of feeling insecure or inept in that area, they will smile and nod and not know what you're talking about, because they don't have that level of confidence. So always know this, guys. Pushing out that level of communication, saying that I don't understand, help me understand your viewpoint because I'm not fully appreciating it. That illustrates intelligence. So don't be fearful to do that.
Todd, if you're going to lead, you're going to be an owner, an entrepreneur, that's a skill set you will never know everything. And if you're a great leader, a great business owner, you're going to hire people a heck of a lot smarter than you.
Now, the challenge in that is the family business dynamic where, I'm the older brother and my younger brother brings me something. I mean, look, man, if it was a good thing, I'd already know about it, right? I'm the older brother. If you have some of that, you got to be careful with that.
Yeah, but you and I have had the blue and pink conversation on the balance sheet. And I think if you're real good at blue and he's real good at pink, you guys are going to have a crazy great company, right? And I think that's the skill set. Who's great at doing the cold calling, who's good at closing the deal, and who's good at the details and mitigating risk in the middle. And that's the teammate that you want. You want that teammate, that brother that knows everything that you don't know and loves doing it.
I mean, I really think it does continue to come back to the concept of really good communication and maybe over communicating to ensure that everyone understands, because my point in saying this is a lot of times people may not understand, but they won't tell you that. And so over communicating is to ensure that everybody understands clearly. They may still disagree,
Mm-hmm.
but at least they understand clearly your viewpoint, and that communication is important.
And they can support your decision going forward.
Absolutely.
Asking people, can you support my decision, and having them say yes is really important. I'll do that often, and with family as well as with villagers. I think that's important because it shows trust.
So our next number 4 here is recruit from the outside. Just as crucial to have non-family members providing governance and oversight, it is essential to recruit outside of your family. I got to laugh because I always make this joke. If everybody running the company's got the same last name, your potential for growth might be limited.
Yes, it is.
So, recruiting folks from the outside is essential to building a company. And what that says to your hirees is that there's an opportunity for growth, which allows you to hire better people because they're attracted. They might start at this level, but they believe that they can ascend. And as a result of that, you bring on better people who might otherwise not be interested.
And Todd, be careful with that, though, because I've used words like that. For me, it's how do we bring on people with different skill sets and experiences? And then me showing our villagers how far that's going to get them.
Maybe that's
too.
what you say, but this is what they're thinking.
Yeah, touche. But this is the thing. Like we've got folks that have been loyal villagers for over a decade, and we're bringing on new villagers because we're growing. We have to. It's not about eliminating their position. It's about growing up the organization. And the teaming because loyal villagers know kind of hey, where's the skeleton? Where is that on the shared drive, etc. That's important information. But then you have new people who can bring in new processes, new skill sets, and that builds our very, very loyal villagers as well. So there's, it in the beginning, it makes me nervous. We've, so-and-so's been in an apartment for 20 years. Yes. But on the other hand, wouldn't it be great if you can stay at your same company and have these new experiences and have a leader who wants you to engage? Like, I want these teammates to partner up and create new things. I mean, that's how our business keeps growing. So I think this isn't just for family businesses. This is for business in general. Let's make sure that you're always looking outside. You're always looking inside, and you're saying, who's the best right person for the right seat, right? We want the right person in the right seat.
Outside talent and outside perspectives is also valuable because when you're immersed in a culture, sometimes you lose your perspective and you need somebody who's new from the outside to bring a different perspective, maybe from somewhere that they've been before that you might not have, and then being open to it. So recruiting from outside is a really good thing.
Well, and let me be, the other interesting piece is I'll sometimes get like, oh, I heard so-and-so, they used to work here and they were X. And, the great thing about our village is everyone's a villager. So I interview everyone that comes on, and we talk about our 5 village values. And we walk through how those 5 village values have shown up in their life, how they've shown up at our village, why they're important. I will tell you right now that whenever we have an issue, I can always point back to say, well, gosh, I know they're a villager, so that doesn't seem possible. Or gosh, is that what a villager would do? Or let's make, let's assume the best in everyone. They're a villager. And I think that's really important that we're saying up front, we're always going to give you the benefit of the doubt because we've sat down and talked about those 5 village values. And if you see those 5 village values in your core, that's who you are. Like, yeah, you're my guy or my gal. You're a villager.
Well, I can see that because in so doing, you're raising your level of expectation.
Yeah.
And people will rise to that challenge.
Yes.
And
it becomes, Todd, it's kind of cool because it becomes that not shame on me, but shame on you. Because we had this talk, right? And I care so much about our teammates that anytime we bring someone new in, and it's not easy, it iterates what our culture is. Every person iterates it just a touch. And I'm very protective of those values because they're Don's, they're mine, they're why the bank was started. And I'm very, very protective of those values because I've made a commitment and promise to all of our villagers on those values. And so I think that when we talk about treating employees like family and recruiting from the outside and good governance and boundaries and communication, yes, and yes. But what is the cornerstone for all of that? And what can you point to and say that's what it means? And for us, it's always about the values.
The next one is treat employees like family. Now, we're going to take a break and come back to this one, but this is one that I know is just everything you've said so far is dear to you, because you really do try to make everybody who's a part of Village Bank be treated like family. If you tell your folks who are on your team to treat people like this, you treat them like this, and well, I got something to say about it. As usual, it could be a double-edged sword. Let's take a break.
It can be. Yeah.
Let's take a break, and we'll be right back talking about treating employees like family. Hey, are you considering something exceptional to set your home apart and highlight its curb appeal? How about the
and consultants by going to accountingoffices.net or by simply calling 763-786-0639. That contact information again, accounting-offices.net or by simply calling 763-786-0639.
You're listening to Cover Your Assets with Todd Rooker.
Welcome back. So we left the break with a topic, treat employees like family. And, building a team where every part is functioning within the orchestra and, all cylinders are firing at top dead center. If you know what that means, I'm a farm kid. What are you going to do? No small thing, but everybody has to feel like they are a meaningful specific within the organization. So how do you treat employees like family to engender that feeling within
Well,
them?
Todd, just like we've talked about on this show, one of our big pieces will get you there, right? No matter if you're that entrepreneur, start buying that first skid steer because you're going to go out on your own and you need a super small loan. But to you, it's a huge loan, right? It's a huge loan. We'll get you there. We'll get you from that skid steer to the second one, to the third one, to the building, to the 17 employees, to the benefits, to wherever that takes you. And it's the same thing with our employees. We ask them, where do you want to go? Where do you want to be? Do you want to be the best darn teller that there's ever been? And we have a whole bunch of them in East Bethel. I'll do a shout out to those ladies because they always listen to this show. Or, do you want my job one day? Like, okay, well, here's the path. This is what you need to know. Let's put you in some opportunities where you're dealing with some technology, you're dealing with leading some teams, and you're dealing with finding a big project to own and execute. We'll get you there. You got to earn it. You got to do the work, Todd, but we will get you there. And to me, that's what family is all about. Family isn't about giving you anything. Family isn't about, free ride to anything. Family is about earning it. Family is about participating. Family is about putting our relationship first. And remember, relationship goes two ways, Todd. Relationship isn't just what I want or what you want. It's how do we work together to make sure we're doing what's best for our family and for our village. And, gosh, whenever the day gets tough, I got to be honest, I've got a couple villagers that always pop into my head that I'm like, I've made a commitment to them. Like, I got to figure this out. I got to get this right. And those are the pieces. I think that's what family is all about. That's what you do for your kids and your husband, and that's what you do for your wife, and that's what you do for your parents. And so when I say treat them like family, it's holding them accountable. It's giving them a path. It's giving them the confidence to earn it, telling them, I think you can do this. It's going to be super hard though.
So I get out of that, they're committed to you and you're committed to them.
I sure hope they are. I am. I'm very committed to them. I'm very committed to them.
So next piece is evolve. When it comes to longevity and the success that comes with it, being flexible in response to changing markets dynamics is essentially the way that businesses succeeds and survives, especially multi-generational family businesses, whether it's an aversion to new technology or resistance to changing cultural norms. A family-run business must evolve or risk. This is what we talked about at the break. You're either growing or you're declining, right? And so when I read this evolve, you've got new people coming into the business who maybe have the energy to take it to the next level, but maybe because you are 20, 30 years into it, you don't have that. So the evolution on some level, I think there's maybe from an older.
Todd, but let me tell you, kids make you so old. Being a president makes you
Exactly.
even older.
And
You're
I don't
exhausted.
like it. Exactly.
You're tired. You don't have time to see the cool new movie or know the cool new song or whatever. I was at a meeting earlier with one of my very favorite clients this week, and I had three, I'll call them credit guys with me, and they're talking about, we're going to do this village motorcycle gang, and they're talking about, some quote from a movie. I was looking at him going, I'm pretty sure I've slept through all of this. I wish so bad I could relate to these guys, but I can't.
See, that's the challenge.
And so that's where Evolve comes in to say, never look at them and go, what are you talking about? They're having fun. They're building team. They're great villagers. The clients love them. Have your motorcycle. gang.
This is so
right?
funny because as I'm looking at this, I failed to complete it because as I read ahead of it, I'm thinking about myself. It says family-run businesses must evolve or risk alienating both employee and customers. My kid says this to me. You're old. You know, but you don't even know how to talk to people my age, he
Yeah.
says. And I say to him, why is that important?
It's so true, and
And it is. Of
it
course.
comes at such a young age. I mean, my daughters will say to me, "Why can't I dress like the other moms?" Because I'm in a suit because I'm on my way to meet an attorney, right?
Right.
And it's like, gosh, she's right. I feel bad about this, but I think that is such a great place for us to all be in, where we have to remember that our perception and our like moment in time is literally a moment in time. And like we talked about earlier, you and I, we don't own free enterprise. We don't own our roles as presidents or CEOs. And, we're here for a moment of time to iterate this a little bit. But those young guys, those young gals, they're all coming up fast behind us. And they're expecting, it's not just they need to learn what we know, but to get them there, we also need to understand where they're coming from.
Maybe because we're older, we have a greater obligation to understand them than they us.
Mm.
Maybe.
Isn't that beautiful? I mean, think about that.
Eh,
You know?
I disagree, but maybe.
No, I don't. I mean, if we think about what's our last day, I know I'm getting very philosophical, but this does matter because we spend so much time at work. We spend so much time with our clients and our villagers, in my case, that at the end of the day, when I am grateful and thankful and I get to retire one day, how they think of me and what I left to them is like, that is just a huge accomplishment. If it was like, well, it's Alicia's Way or the highway, well, my gosh.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
is that?
Yeah.
And I think like that's how free enterprise and entrepreneurship is going to continue, because then there'll be another person that wants to be an entrepreneur and start something and build it. There'll be another Todd, there'll be another Don. And like that's what we want to put back into this world, is how do we have more entrepreneurs?
Yeah. And as we grow older, I think there becomes a responsibility because we are expected to have knowledge and experience where we should be the first one to step out on that and be willing to embrace the evolutional changes that take place from one generation to the next.
Mm-hmm.
Plan for the future. Successful family businesses plan for the future, creating family business succession plans long before they actually need them. They also identify talented employees both within and outside the family, investing in them early to ensure a deep bench of leaders for the future. Hey, that changes the value of your business.
Mm-hmm.
Aging workforce. If you're ready to start making those plans, check out one of the previous discussions on the succession phase of entrepreneurship for what you need to do to prepare and for tips to that process. You can find this article on Village Bank's website or on the Cover Your Assets YouTube channel. Absolutely.
I mean, Todd, that is so true. And just remember, I think people are afraid to put it in stone or put it in writing. It's supposed to change. Like we always talk about, we want a scorebook. We want a scorebook for when, rates go up like they just did. We want a scorebook for when rates go down. We want a scorebook for when there's 100% SBA guarantee. We want a scorebook for when there's a 70% guarantee. We want a scorebook for when capital is ripe, mortgage rates are low, whatever that might be. Have a scorebook, have a plan. This is what this is. If X happens, Y comes in. If X happens, D comes in. But like, be thinking about how you can continue to mitigate risk, and take opportunities and run with them, and not sit back and think, oh, what should we do? This is what you should do. You already know what you should do.
Well, and the most important component is that you bring others into that vision when planning for the future.
Communication,
There
right?
you go. We keep coming back to it. We're going to take another break here and come back and wrap up. We've got some takeaways for you to use in your business and in your life. And hopefully this has been helpful. We'll take our break. We'll be right back.
Hello, I'd like to talk with you about financial coaching. Traditional financial planners help you make decisions about stocks, bonds, and
No one knows what the future is, but what do we for sure know? There's a future. So plan for your future.
Have a great weekend, everybody. Bye-bye.
Hello, I'd like to talk with you about financial coaching. Traditional financial planners help you make decisions about stocks, bonds, and mutual funds with money you already have. That's great, but who helps you accumulate more money in the first place? Who helps you make day-by-day life decisions? Who isn't trying to sell you something? Like, should I go back to school? Am I wasting money on insurance? How to purchase and finance a car, boat, home, lake cabin, or investment property? How to start, manage, and sell a business? It's about making minor errors that become colossal mistakes and cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars over your lifetime. The problem is that you're so busy pursuing your career that you're forced to make critical financial decisions that have a dramatic long-term effect on your finances without adequate research or information. Rooker Financial Coaching is like having a personal CFO for every decision. Don't waste time lamenting the bad decisions of the past or money that's run through your fingertips. Stop procrastinating. Call Rooker Financial Coaching, 763-559-3800. That's 763-559-3800. Call me today, Todd Rooker, 763-559-3800. That's 763-559-3800.